you. Please stand by.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for attending this webinar on citizen science using Survey123. So welcome. I put on the screen here some information. So if you can't hear me, please use the WebEx chat window to let me know. And there will be some questions at the end of the webinar if you have to ask me anything. And please mute your phone. Thank you. Okay, wonderful. Hey. So today I'm going to show you how to create a survey using an app in ArcGIS Online called Survey123. And surveys can be used to collect data for a project related to citizen science. So this is the practice of public participation and collaboration in increasing scientific knowledge. Through citizen science, people can share and contribute to data monitoring and collection programs. So my name is Angela Alexander, and I work at the Esri Canada Educational Research Group. My focus is supporting K-12 educators across the country in their use of GIS. I'm responsible for resource development. This includes the creation of data, maps, lessons, activities, tutorials, GIS training, and technical support. And here's a picture of myself and my group at Esri. And we're actually missing one more person, Ashley Harris. She's on mat leave right now. Okay, so before we delve into Survey123, let's start from the beginning with what is ArcGIS Online. Okay, so ArcGIS Online is a web-based mapping software that's used to make maps, analyze data, and to share and collaborate with others. It can be used to inquire and explore topics and issues and to present findings in an interactive way. It can be used across curriculum, including different grade and learning levels. All Nova Scotia educators and students can sign into their GNSPES account to access ArcGIS Online. By clicking on the ArcGIS icon. From here, you can also access Survey123 via the app button. So here's a screenshot of the homepage of the Nova Scotia Schools subscription. And once you're signed in, you can click on the Apps button and then select Survey123 to access that. I'm just having some trouble. I think there's a few people, or at least one person, that can't hear me, so I just want to send them a message. Okay. So Survey123 is a form-centric data collection tool that transforms paper forms into smart forms. So using the web designer, which you can access through ArcGIS Online, you can create a survey that's automatically linked to a map. So there are many types of questions that you can choose from, starting with single text, single line text, multi-choice, single choice, and conditional questions. These allow you to set up questions that are prompted by particular answers. So for example, if you're doing a tree survey, If someone selects no to the question, is the tree alive? Then another question will appear asking, why is it dead? With a list of answers to select from. So Survey123 allows you to create conditional questions. So if you have a question asking something, particular answers will prompt other questions. So there's that advanced logic that's built in that you can set for your questions. So currently, Survey123 is limited to collecting only points, so no lines or polygons. Data is saved automatically online. For people that are familiar with ArcGIS Online, when you create a feature layer, whenever somebody adds to a feature layer, it's automatically saved. Think of it like a database. So surveys are the same thing. If people add to a survey, the data is automatically saved. It uses GPS on your device, so it could be your smartphone, and to find your location. And then you can capture live photos and videos in a survey as well. When you're creating a survey, it's as important to consider the answers as much as it is to consider the questions, because this will help to limit errors in your data collection. Providing answer options in the form of a drop-down, for example, is highly recommended, as human errors often occur. So for example, if you're creating a tree survey and one of the questions is, what type of tree is visible? Providing a list of possible answers is a good option rather than getting the respondent to type in the answer. This will allow you to get to the data analyzing portion quicker, as there's less data cleanup to do. So Survey123 is a great tool for students to collaborate and engage in the inquiry process. So for teachers out there that are social studies or geography teachers, you might be familiar with the geographic inquiry process, or for science teachers, the scientific inquiry process. So students can formulate questions, collect data in the field, explore their world, and then analyze and act on the results back in the classroom. Surveys can be filled using a computer, a tablet, or a smartphone. It can be done in a browser or by using the Survey123 app that can be downloaded at Google and Apple stores online. You're also able to, if you are using the Field app and you're out, I know that a lot of students don't have data, so they can collect data offline, and then once they're back at school, they can link their data. It goes back, it links to the map. So the survey entries will be linked to the map. If surveys are shared publicly, the respondent doesn't have to log into ArcGIS Online to access it. You can also share the results of the survey if you choose to. I'll talk more about that later. So the power of using Survey123 is the ability to analyze your data after the data collection stage is over. Using the map linked to the survey, you can view and analyze your data. No matter how you're planning to apply Survey123 in your teaching or in a project, this workflow is recommended. So the first step is asking the question. This is the design and publish stage. The second is getting your answers, so collecting your data. And the third and last step is the making decision stage, where you can view and analyze your data on a map. There are many ways to use surveys for citizen science projects. Here are a couple of examples. These examples, I've worked directly with the teachers. So the first one is a teacher from a local private school who started a water quality project with 150 grade 9 students last year. They collected data on the water quality of the Don River in Toronto. And this is an ongoing project, so he plans to use the survey once again with the new grade 9 students. So you can see the map, the river study map there, plus some photos of the students collecting the data. In addition, there is a small screenshot of the survey, and I can show that to you actually right now. So this is the Don River data collection survey that was created by the teacher. And you can see that he has a location, a place for a geopoint. This is the question type, and I will go through this in the demonstration. He also has water temperature and other values depending on what they're looking at about the water. So there are different types of questions here, as you can see. And then the last one is adding a picture to the survey as well. Another example is a project we did with the school in Edmonton in partnership with the Edmonton Area Land Trust, or EALT, where students in grade 7 collected evidence of nature in one of their properties and learned about local plants and animals in the area. So you can see the map there, and there's boundary of the, so the area was called Glory Hills, and it's one of the properties of the EALT. And so the students went and collected information using the survey, and so they had to learn, they also had the opportunity to learn about the nature in the area. So they collected data on the shrubs, the trees, the plants, and the mammals and birds. So other applications of Survey123 that are outside of citizen science was something I thought was important to mention as well, because it is a tool that can be used for so many things. And we've been in touch with teachers across the country that have been using it for different reasons. So there's so many ways to use them outside of particularly citizen science. So the first one is a family tree project. So you can create a public survey to send to family members around the world or in your city or country, and you can send it to them so that you can collect information, for example, about the date of immigration to their country of residence, the family connection to the surveyor, the age of the respondents, and more information. So those are just 3 examples. Another one is doing a history project about your community. So locating significant places that are important to your community and highlighting those areas. One really cool one that one of my colleagues was part of over the summer was a youth score project through one of the schools in Toronto that they have camps. And this was one particularly on urban planning. And what they wanted the students to collect was basically looking in the neighborhood around the school, looking at how youth-friendly it is. So using the metric, they evaluated streets and places and neighborhoods based on their youth-friendliness. And there's actually a blog post that I wrote last year about it, and there's a link to it there. Or you can also go to esricanada.ca/blog and go to the Education and Research section, and you can find the blog post there. So the outcome was the students recommended, benches and ping pong tables and street lights and other things in certain areas of the community. Another application of Survey123 is something that we use in our group when we're out doing workshops. And I call it an icebreaker activity, and it's learning about, in our case, when we're doing the workshops, learning about what the teachers' needs are and why they attended the workshop. So for teachers, we thought this would be applicable if you want to have an icebreaker activity at the beginning of a term or a school year where you want to learn about your students' interests and maybe their backgrounds and maybe places they want to travel or what they did over the summer. So creating a survey that allows them to really interact, and if it is something that you're planning to do in the class in the future, then it's a great way for them to see, hey, this is something we're going to create, in a few months or a few weeks. So the icebreaker activity, I think, is a fun activity to engage students as well. So now I'm going to demonstrate the Survey123 and how easily you can create a survey. So I'm going to use the example of a tree survey. We got this idea from our one of the teachers that we know very well from Brampton, Ontario. And he created this survey a few years ago and uses it every year to collect information. So the first thing is that the demo will be in 3 parts. So first is authoring the survey, so how to create your survey. Second is how to share and submit data. And the third is analyzing the survey in ArcGIS Online. So the first thing is you sign into ArcGIS Online. And I'm on the home page right now. And I can go to the Apps button here, and I can select Survey123. So from here, I can click on Create a New Survey. The one thing that I noticed right now that's missing, and I'm not sure why, because I did log out and log back into my account before the presentation, is there is a screen that should say the web designer or the Survey123 Connect. So I want to let you know that we are using the web designer for Survey123, which is linked to ArcGIS Online and is very easy to create the surveys. So you don't want to be using Survey Connect. You want to be using the web designer. So when you're creating your first survey, you will get a step before this one that will say, will give you an option of the 2, and you want to go with the web design. Okay, so the first thing I'll do is click on Create a New Survey, and I will put in the name of my survey, and I have to put in a tag. So just like in ArcGIS Online, anything you create and save, you need to tag it. So just putting a keyword in there that will allow you to find that content and for others to find it as well if you're sharing it. I can put in a summary in here, and then I can click on Create. So as this is processing, I just want to let you know that we're creating this tree survey, and there are many different types of questions that you have access to. And we're going to select, so every single question will be a different type of question that we're adding. Okay, so now I'm in the design section, And you can see on the right-hand side all the question types. And for me to select one, I just have to double-click on it or drag and drop it into the main section. So the first question I will create is the drop-down selection. So I'm going to double-click on this, and it will appear in the main section. And this is where I'm going to put in a teacher name. And as I mentioned to you before, putting in or considering what the questions, the answers are for a question will help to limit data errors and increase data consistency. So I'm just going to put in names of teachers in here. And if I have a long list, I can use this batch edit option, and I can copy and paste my column of names into this here, and then click OK, and it will appear under the choices. So another option is you can make this a required question, which allows, so it's required so that if somebody is adding to the survey and they don't answer this question, they won't be able to submit it. So it's a question that they must answer. So I'm going to click on required question, and then you'll see that this little red star will appear next to the name of the question. The next one will be a tree type. So I'm going to click on add, and I'm going to put in a number as a tree tag. So I'll put that in here. I can put in a description or a hint, and then I can change this, must be an integer. I can also set the values here, and I'm going to leave this as not a required question. And then I'll go back to add and add in my single choice. And this will be the condition of the tree. So I'm going to put dead, alive, unsure. And I can change the appearance of this. I can also make this a required question. So I mentioned the conditional questions. So the next question I'm adding will be only for the people that say that the tree is dead. So this question is a multi-choice question. So they will be allowed to select more than one option. And then if I need to add more, I just click on the plus sign here. And I can change that appearance again, make this a required question. And then I'm going to add an image question. Oh, actually, before I do that, I will show you how to set the conditional, set the rule for the conditional question. So we go to the first question, and then I hover over there and I go to set rule. I select dead, and then I select why is it dead. So now they'll be prompted once they select dead, they'll be prompted to the next question, why is it dead? Okay, so now I'm going to go and add my image. And you can see that there is a maximum file size of 10 megs. And I'm going to add in a rating. So if the kids are having fun, if they are enjoying the activity, So we can see that here. And you can set the maximum value here. You can also change the icon. And then the last one is the geopoint. So the geopoint is the question that allows the respondent to put in a location. So in this case, it's the location of a tree. And I can change the base map that it opens up to. And I can ask for the user's location. This is where they use the GPS. Or I can also put in an address. So when it opens up, if you know the area where you're collecting the data, you might want to do that. So I will just put in my office address in here. And then I will make this a required question. Keep in mind that if you don't use this geopoint question, if people are submitting stuff, because sometimes people create surveys and they don't need a map. A map is automatically connected to the survey. So what happens is if you don't use a geopoint question, the points will all go to the same location and it will be in the middle of the ocean. So, and if you don't need the map, that really means nothing. It doesn't really matter. So just keep in mind that if you are collecting a survey, if you're using a survey to collect information of a location, you need to use this geopoint question. Okay, so now if I want to move around the questions, I can just select them and drag them up or down. Okay, so now I'm done. I'm going to preview it. And I can see this is my question. I can, select dead. Oh, I need to move this question up here because I want it to be prompted right underneath. But I'll just show you that you can see how it looks on a phone and on a tablet as well. Okay. So I'm going to move this up. And then I will save it. And the next thing is you want to publish it. Keep in mind that if you do make changes to your survey, you can go back to publish it. However, if you've used the survey already and some of the data is going to be different, it can get a little tricky. So if it's similar data set up, like in terms of the questions, and you haven't really changed, say you've changed, you've made a spelling error and you need to republish, it's not a problem. I think when you're adding different types of questions that people have already added, or if you want to remove a question that people have already added to, you might have some issues there. So keep that in mind. Okay, so now I've published it. I can go and click on the Collaborate tab, and this is where I can share my survey. So just like in ArcGIS Online, you have the three options. You can share it publicly. You can share it to just the organization. So what that means is anyone that is in the Nova Scotia subscription will have to sign in to view the survey and to enter information to it. And then there's the option of group. You can also change the way it opens. So if you know that you're not going out to do any field work, you might just want to use a browser. Or if you're not using the app, you can just do that. You can also ask the user to open the survey in a browser so they can have the option. And then if you know you're going out to do just the field work, you can select the third option. From here, you can also share, copy the URL and send that out. And of course, if you make any changes, make sure to click Save here to submit them. The viewer is the results of your survey. So a lot of times people might not change this option. They might want people collecting it, but then the results isn't something they want to share. So, and then you can also see that there's options here to allow people to just see their own and or all. The next two things here are analyze and data. These are not going to be populated right now because there's nothing added. I can go to settings, and there's some other stuff here about versions. We don't need to talk about that right now, but I'm going to go back to design. And one thing I forgot to mention is that you can change the appearance of your survey, including the, you can add an image in there as well. So there's the option of adding an image from the internet. You can also change the thank you screen. So when people enter stuff into the survey and they submit it, they get a thank you screen, and you can change this to say what you want it to say. And if you want students to add more than one record, you can select this option here. And of course, if there's any changes, make sure to save, and you'll have to publish again. Okay, so I've gone through the creating the survey. I've gone through how to share the survey. Now, submitting the survey is just sending this. Okay. Oh, it's because I selected, okay, I know what I did here. Okay, I did something here. Yes, I selected that, but I didn't mean to. Okay, so now if I go back here, here's the survey now. And I can send this link, so I can copy it here, and I can just send that to others in an email. Okay. Okay, so once you've created a survey, what you will notice in your content area, so I'm back in ArcGIS Online, and I can go back into the content section here, and I can see that, this one, I can see here that anytime I create a survey, there are three content or three items that are listed. So there's the survey itself, and then the feature layer that's hosted, and this is what you would use to create a web map. So think of this as a data layer. So feature layer is essentially a data layer. And then there's a field worker one, and that one is not editable. So you want to use this one here. So this allows you to view the entries. So this one has entries from a workshop that I did. And so we'll open that up. And we're in the map viewer right now. And I will zoom into Nova Scotia, where the entries were put in. And I can see, just like a typical GIS, you got the spatial information on the map, and we have the attribute information as well. So another thing we could do is we could change the symbol, right? So I can, right now I have it as still location only. I can have it right now, I can change it to, do you have a ArcGIS Online account? So you can see with the smart mapping, this will allow me to see the answers. And then I can save that map as is right now. I can also go back into change style, and I can make, I can analyze my data, and I can use that heat map. So this will allow me to see density of participants, like where they came from in Nova Scotia. So this is a very simple example of analyzing data. but it's the same concept. Like if you had, 150 records in here, it would be a lot, more interesting. But this is just to show you it's very straightforward. You can access your data once it's, people start adding to the survey, and you can just bring that in ArcGIS Online, the map viewer, and then you can save this map now. So you can go and save. And then you can see that by default, it will be in that folder where you got the layer. We'll save that. And then once you've done that, you can also share it. And you have the same three options. Okay. Okay, so now you're ready to create your first survey. So let's check out the resources that are available to you. So there's a tutorial that you can access, a help page, including a blog post about Survey123, so learning what's new. And some of the tips that I would suggest before you start is outline the purpose of your survey. Who to share it with. So think about that. Consider the questions and the answers. This will help to minimize the data cleanup, and it will allow you to get to the analysis quicker. So the action item for you is to go and create your first survey. So next week, there will be a webinar on story maps and how to use them in K-12 education. You'll find out what they are, how you can use them, and what resources you have available to you to get started. Thank you very much for attending the webinar. You can contact us at k12@esri.ca. You can also find free resources at k12.esri.ca. And also find out more about how we can support you. You can follow us on Twitter at GIS for Teachers. And we hope that you can make it to next week's webinar. And if you have any questions, really feel free to email me at k12@esri.ca. I can open up the lines to answer some questions if anyone has any, or you can always email me directly.